The quiet habits are what build real wealth. Not the bold moves, not the breakthroughs, not the moments that make the highlight reel. And if you've been waiting for your big moment, your breakthrough, your lucky break, your sign that it's finally time, I need to tell you something important right now. In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you the 5 habits that quietly compound into extraordinary wealth over a lifetime. Habits so ordinary, so unglamorous, that most people walk right past them every single day. Because what separates the people who build lasting wealth from everyone else isn't brilliance, it isn't luck, it isn't boldness, it's what they do on the days when nobody's watching. Here's the real problem, and almost nobody talks about this honestly. We have been trained by everything around us to look for the dramatic, the pivot, the moment everything changes. We consume stories of overnight success, billion-dollar exits, and bold bets that paid off. And we absorb a very specific lie without even realizing it. The lie is this, that wealth is built in moments. It isn't. Wealth is built in the silence between the moments, in the habit nobody applauds, in the decision nobody sees, in the book you read on a Tuesday afternoon when you could have been scrolling, in the money you didn't spend on something you actually didn't need. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest human beings who has ever lived, has been in the same house since 1958. The same house he bought for $31,000. He drives himself to work, he makes his own breakfast at McDonald's, and he has famously said that on days when the market is doing well, he lets himself order a little extra. This is the man. This is the house. This is the breakfast. The drama you've been looking for, it was never the point. And here's what this means for you. The reason you feel stuck isn't because you haven't had your big break yet. It's because the culture you live in has convinced you that the big break is the thing, when the real thing has been available to you all along. Think of it like a snowball. At the beginning, it's embarrassing. A small, barely holding together clump of wet snow that moves so slowly, you almost can't tell it's moving at all. Someone standing at the bottom of the hill wouldn't even look up, but the physics are already working. Every rotation adds a layer. Every foot of hill adds momentum. The snowball doesn't announce itself. It doesn't put out a press release. It just keeps moving. And by the time it becomes undeniable, it has been building for a very long time. That is compound interest. That is behavioral compounding. That is exactly what Warren Buffett has been doing since he was 11 years old, when he filed his first tax return and listed a $35 watch as a business expense. He wasn't exceptional at 11. He was consistent. He was building habits when the habits felt like nothing. And here is the shift I need you to make before we go any further. These 5 habits I'm about to show you are not financial strategies. They're not productivity hacks. They are not things you add to a list and check off on a good morning. They are identity commitments. The person who reads voraciously isn't trying to get wealthy. They are someone who takes their own mind seriously. The person who lives below their means isn't depriving themselves. They are someone who values their future more than their image. The wealth is not the habit. The wealth is what happens when the habit becomes who you are. Habit 1, read voraciously. Buffett spends roughly 80% of his working day reading, not scrolling, not watching. Books, reports, newspapers, everything. He has said, the more you learn, the more you earn. And researchers at Yale found something that makes this even more powerful than you might think. People who read books consistently, not articles, not social media, but actual books, showed a 20% lower mortality risk over a 12-year study. Readers don't just think better, they live longer. 1 hour of reading per day compounds into 50 books per year. In 10 years, that's 500 books, the equivalent of multiple graduate degrees in whatever you choose. The question isn't whether you have time to read. The question is whether you are someone who takes their mind seriously enough to protect that time. Habit 2. Protect your thinking time. Buffett's calendar is almost empty, not because he's lazy, but because he understands that uninterrupted thinking time is the rarest and most valuable resource a person can have. A 2023 Microsoft study found that the average professional gets fewer than 28 minutes of uninterrupted thinking time per day. Buffett protects hours. That gap, every single day, compounds over decades, is one of the most underestimated advantages in business history. You don't need to clear your calendar. You need to protect 30 minutes, then an hour. Treat it like a meeting you cannot cancel. Habit 3. Say no strategically. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. This is not about being difficult. It is about understanding that your attention is your most finite and your most valuable resource. Every yes is a withdrawal. Every unnecessary commitment dilutes the quality of the ones that matter. Start saying no to the things that are fine, so you can say yes to the things that are extraordinary. Habit 4. Surround yourself with exceptional people. Buffett credits Charlie Munger, his 60-year business partner, as one of the most important wealth-building forces in his life. Not because Munger gave him money, because Munger expanded him, challenged him, raised his standard. Harvard tracked hundreds of people for over 75 years, one of the longest studies of adult life ever conducted. Their conclusion? The quality of your relationships was the single greatest predicator of your life outcomes. More than your education, more than your income, more than your IQ. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Ask yourself honestly, are they expanding you or are they keeping you comfortable? Habit 5, live below your means. Same house, same breakfast, same Omaha. $130 billion. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is the raw material of all wealth creation. Not the bonus, not the raise, not the investment strategy. The gap. A person who saves 20% consistently from age 25 will accumulate over $1.6 million by retirement at a modest 7% return. Raise that to 30%, $2.4 million. The strategy isn't complicated. The lifestyle discipline is. Here is what you do tonight. Not someday, tonight. Step 1, put one book in a place you'll see it when you wake up tomorrow. Not a book you feel like you should read, a book you are genuinely curious about. The habit begins with a single page. Step 2, block 30 minutes in your calendar tomorrow and label it thinking time. No agenda, no task list, just a chair, maybe a notebook, and your own mind. Let it run. See what surfaces. Step 3, write down one thing you are going to say no to this week. Something you would normally say yes to out of obligation or habit. Practice the muscle. It gets easier. Step 4, think of one person who consistently challenges you, expands your thinking, or holds a standard you respect. Reach out to them this week, not to ask for anything, just to be in proximity. Relationships compound too. Step 5, Look at one monthly expense that is driven by image, not value. One thing you pay for because of how it looks, not how it serves you. You don't have to cancel it tonight, but name it. Awareness is the beginning of the gap. These are not tasks. These are the first moves of the person you are becoming. Warren Buffett didn't become who he is because he had a moment. He became who he is because he had a Tuesday and a Wednesday and 10,000 ordinary mornings where he read and thought and said no to the right things and surrounded himself with people who made him better and spent less than he earned. The most powerful wealth-building force available to you right now is not a market trend or an investment strategy or a side hustle. It is the decision, made quietly, today, to become someone whose daily inputs are extraordinary. You don't need a breakthrough. You need better mornings. If this landed for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more of this, subscribe, because this is exactly what we do here. I'll see you in the next one.